Unit 2, Lesson 5, where we will be focusing on Buddhism. Buddhism is also referred to as the search for inner peace. It is a faith that is based on that search. So, let me give you a little bit of background story of how Buddhism started. Buddhism was founded by a Hindu prince who lived between 563 and 483 BC. One day he left his palace and saw all the suffering in the world around him. As he was traveling about, he saw the suffering caused by poverty and the caste system and just everyday drama. He thought that suffering was bad, and he did not know how to end all of the suffering going on in the world. He sat under a Bodhi tree and meditated on this for 7 weeks. The resulting ideas are the foundation of Buddhism. So oftentimes when you see a statue or a symbol of the Buddha meditating, you can know that he was under a tree, and this is where these ideas were inspired from. His ideas are summed up in the Four Noble Truths, which can be reached through the Eightfold Path. Now, just think the path brings you to the Four Noble Truths. That's how you can remember it. So you don't say the Four Path or the Eight Noble Truths. No, it's four truths, and the Eightfold Path will bring you there. Buddhist beliefs. Buddhism does not have a God. Therefore, it is non-theistic. You can reach nirvana, moksha, or heaven, as we refer to it as, by mastering the Eightfold Path, which shows you the way to the Four Noble Truths. Reincarnation is a big part of Buddhism. You will be born over and over until you control your earthly desires. Now, there is a difference between the process of Hinduism, reincarnation, and Buddhist reincarnation. But let's focus on the holy books of Buddhism right now. It is simply the Four Noble Truths in Tripitaka. I just looked up how to say that correctly, and I've already messed that one up. But this is the sacred text and the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths are: all people suffer. Suffering is caused by desire. You can end suffering by ending desire. And you end desire by following the Eightfold Path. Pretty simple, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the Four Noble Truths. The Eightfold Path. It describes a way to end suffering. It's a gradual path, which means it's not, you can't microwave this. It's not done extremely quickly. But it's kind of a gradual path towards self-improvement. It's a middle way between excessive suffering and excessive indulgence. It frees you from the attachments, and also it frees you from delusions, like ideas that you aren't going to accomplish or that you aspire to that aren't so good. It leads you to understand the truth about all things. So, in a way, the Eightfold Path helps you become all-knowing, in a sense. The Eightfold Path, here are the first 4. You need to have the right understanding, accepting Buddhist teachings. By accepting Buddhist teachings, you need to have the right intention. You need to have a commitment to cultivating the right attitudes. You need to have correct speech, speaking truthfully and not saying things that hurt others. You need to have the right behavior or the right actions to prove that you are following this Eightfold Path. You need to have the correct livelihood. You can do this by avoid making a living in a way that harms others or the world. You need to make a good faith effort, learning how to think positively and not focus on the negative. The right mindfulness, develop awareness about mind, body, and all of your sensations. And you need to have mental focus, concentration, mental focus, concentration. So I kind of changed this title a little bit. I looked at it, I said, oh, it's going to be difficult because there are 8 stages in the Eightfold Path. That's obvious, but when you look at these, you can kind of break them down into 3 groups. So we call this, the 3 groups are wisdom, ethical conduct, how you behave, and meditation. Wisdom, ethical conduct, and meditation. So, we have a lot of numbers going on, but 4 Noble Truths, Eightfold Path is the journey, the path, the way you get there. The 4 Noble Truths are kind of the guiding principles. And when we look at the Eightfold Path, we can break it into 3 types of actions, 3 types of actions and ideas. So, and here's another way to look at the Eightfold Path. Read this over silently. Now, how did Buddhism spread? Buddhism became a major faith when Ashoka, the emperor during the Mauryan dynasty, sent the missionaries throughout Asia. Do you remember that a few lessons back? Ashoka's missionaries and their writings spread Buddhism from India to China. India to China. I hope you know where those 2 locations are on a map. You should know that instantaneously. And other parts of Asia. Buddhism spread along trade routes like the Silk Road into Asia. Buddhism does not support the caste system. It does not. Hinduism does. Because of that, Buddhism is not a big religion in India. Here I have a hyperlink, so I'll put together all the videos, but it is and it's just simple YouTube. You can find one as well that describes the spread of Buddhism, but we know that it started here in India and it spread up to Mongolia, to China. It still exists, of course, in Korea, Japan today, one of the major religions, and down into Southeast Asia as well. That was a quick overview of Buddhism. I hope that you learned a thing or two, and if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to check in with me.